Commander Jace Rowan stood at the edge of the spaceport, watching the crowd move around the landing bay. His heart was heavy but steady. He had just returned from a dangerous mission on the planet Solara, deep in the unknown sectors of the galaxy. The mission had been tough. His team had faced fierce storms, hostile creatures, and strange alien traps. Yet they had succeeded in finding the ancient ruins the galaxy's scholars had been searching for. Jace expected praise from the Galactic Council. He imagined a grand ceremony, medals, and speeches. Instead, there was only silence. The council chamber was cold and empty except for a small group of officials. The only reward waiting for him was something he had never expected. "A prize for your service, Commander Rowan," said a tall alien official with bright blue skin and shining eyes. In his hands, he held a small, elegant crate covered in strange symbols. "This is your reward." Jace's brow furrowed. "A crate. What is inside?" The official smiled. "Open it and see." Jace's fingers trembled slightly as he lifted the crate's lid. Inside was a young alien girl. She sat quietly, calm and still, with deep violet eyes that seemed to glow faintly. Her skin was pale lavender, and her long silver hair fell softly over her shoulders. She looked directly at Jace, her gaze sharp and knowing, like she remembered something important. Jace's heart skipped a beat. He had expected gold, weapons, or technology, not a person. He glanced at the officials. "She's a slave." The official nodded. "Yes, she belongs to the Zelleran people now. As your reward, she will serve you." Jace swallowed hard. The word slave sounded harsh and wrong in his mind, but in this part of the galaxy, such things were part of the custom, part of the trade and honor among the alien races. Still, as he looked into the girl's eyes, something about her unsettled him. The girl stood up slowly and stepped out of the crate. Her movements were graceful and quiet. She did not speak, but her eyes stayed fixed on Jace. It was not the look of fear or submission he expected. It was something else, something familiar. "Your name?" Jace asked quietly. She hesitated but then said softly, "Kira." "Where are you from, Kira?" "Zilara," she replied, her voice calm but filled with a strange strength. Jace studied her. Despite being labeled a slave, she held herself like a warrior. There was no fear in her stance, no sign of weakness. It was as if she belonged somewhere else, somewhere important. The officials made their announcements and left quickly, eager to move on to other matters. Jace was left alone with Kira in the council chamber, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "I don't want to treat you like a prize," Jace said honestly, "but I don't understand why they gave you to me." Kira tilted her head slightly. "I know you," she said simply. "From before." Jace blinked. Before what? Before he could ask more, the doors of the chamber opened suddenly. 2 guards entered, followed by a young woman wearing a uniform with the Galactic Council emblem. She approached Jace quickly. "Commander Rowan," she said, her tone urgent, "we have new orders. The mission is not over." Jace looked at Kira. She didn't react to the news, but her eyes flickered with something unreadable. The woman continued, "There is a threat approaching Zilara. Something dangerous. You and your new companion are to prepare for immediate deployment." Jace frowned. "My companion?" The woman nodded. "Yes. The Council believes Kira holds knowledge vital to this threat. You must protect her." Jace felt a strange mix of frustration and curiosity. How could a slave girl know anything important? But the Council was clear. Kira was more than just a prize. He turned to Kira. "We leave soon." Kira nodded, her violet eyes steady and determined. That night, as the stars moved silently outside the spaceport windows, Jace and Kira prepared to leave Zilara behind. Jace's ship was old but reliable, a small cruiser built for speed and stealth. Inside the ship's control room, Jace studied the star maps and mission orders, while Kira sat quietly nearby. The silence between them was not uncomfortable. It was filled with questions neither dared to speak aloud. Finally, Jace broke the silence. Why do you look at me like you know me? I don't remember ever meeting you. Kira's eyes softened. Because we were once part of the same story. A story lost in time. Jace frowned. What story? Kira hesitated, then said, a story about war, about hope, about a promise made long ago. You were there, even if you don't remember. Jace's mind raced. He had no memory of such a story, yet something in her words rang true, stirring a strange feeling deep inside. Before he could ask more, the ship's alarms sounded sharply. The threat was near. Jace took the controls. Hold on, Kira. This is just the beginning. As the ship blasted off into the starry void, Jace glanced once more at Kira. The alien girl was no longer just a prize or a slave. She was a mystery, a key to something greater, something that might change the fate of the galaxy. The hum of the starship's engines filled the small cabin as Commander Jace Rowan stared at the blinking navigation console. Outside, the endless black of space stretched on, dotted with distant stars. The mission was far from over, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. Kira sat silently across from him. Her violet eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. She said little, but her calm presence was strangely comforting. Jace still struggled to understand who she really was, not just a reward or slave, but someone far more complex. For hours, the ship traveled through empty space. Jace tried to focus on the mission details, but his thoughts kept returning to Kira's quiet gaze. Why did she look at him like she knew him? And what did she mean when she said they shared a lost story? Jace finally broke the silence. Kira, can you tell me more about this story? The one you mentioned. The war, the promise, and hope. Kira's eyes reflected a deep sadness. It is old, she said softly. Older than most know. My people remember it as the Great Divide. A time when humans and my ancestors fought together, side by side, against a common enemy. Jace frowned. I've never heard of this. Why is it forgotten? Because after the war, something happened. Our people separated, and the truth was hidden. Kira explained. The enemy we fought was not defeated completely. They wait in the shadows, ready to return. Jace leaned forward. Is that the threat the Council warned us about? Kira nodded slowly. Yes. They seek what we protect. Jace sighed, feeling the heavy burden of their task. Then why am I the one chosen to protect you? What makes me important in this? Kira looked at him, her eyes steady. Because you have a connection, a link to the past. You carry a memory you do not yet remember. Jace shook his head in frustration. I don't remember anything. No hidden memories, no secret past. Just this mission. Kira reached out and placed her hand gently on his arm. The touch was soft but strong, sending a strange warmth through Jace's body. Memories can be locked away, hidden in the mind. But they will come back when the time is right. Before Jace could respond, the ship's communication panel beeped sharply. A message was incoming from the Galactic Council. Jace activated the display. A stern-faced officer appeared. Commander Rowan, we have new intelligence. The enemy fleet has been detected near the Zelleran system. You must prepare for battle. Jace's heart raced. Understood. What is the enemy's strength? Unknown, but highly advanced. They seek Kira's people's technology, something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Jace glanced at Kira. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes showed a flicker of concern. Prepare for combat, Jace ordered. We won't let them take what we protect. Kira stood, moving with quiet grace to the ship's weapons console. I will help. Jace was surprised. You know how to fight. She smiled faintly. More than you think. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Jace felt a strange new trust growing between them. Kira was no longer just a reward or a mystery. She was a partner, and possibly the key to surviving what lay ahead. The next hours passed in a blur of preparation. Jace ran simulations, tested weapons, and reviewed strategies. Kira studied the ship's systems and offered insights that surprised him. She knew things no Zelleran should know: secret codes, ancient technology, hidden defenses. When the enemy fleet appeared on the ship's scanners, Jace felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. The enemy ships were unlike anything he had seen: sleek, dark, and fast, moving silently through space like predators. "Enemy closing in," Kira said calmly. "They will attack in minutes." Jace took his place at the command chair. "All hands, battle stations. Let's show them what humanity and allies can do." The first wave of enemy fighters surged forward, firing bright pulses of energy. Jace's ship rocked under the attack, but their shields held. Kira guided the targeting systems with precision, calling out threats and weaknesses. Together, they worked seamlessly, Jace's leadership and Kira's knowledge combining in perfect balance. During a brief lull, Jace asked, "How do you know so much about their tactics?" Kira hesitated, then said, "Because I have seen this fight before, in dreams, in visions. The enemy repeats their moves, but we can learn and adapt." Jace realized she was not just a fighter. She was a strategist, a link to history and knowledge lost to most. The battle intensified. Enemy ships surrounded them, pressing harder. Just when it seemed the ship might be overwhelmed, Kira activated a hidden weapon system, a powerful pulse that disabled several enemy fighters at once. Jace stared in amazement. "Where did you find that?" "It was hidden in the ruins on Zilara," Kira replied. "Technology from the past war. It belongs to my people, and now to us." The tide of the battle shifted. Enemy ships began to retreat, damaged and confused. Jace exhaled in relief. "We won this fight, but the war is far from over." Kira nodded, "And the past will continue to guide us." As the ship moved away from the battle zone, Jace and Kira stood side by side on the observation deck. The stars glittered around them like distant hopes. Jace looked at Kira. "I don't know what you are, Kira, but I know this: together, we are stronger." Kira smiled softly. "That is the promise. That is the hope." In the silence of space, two strangers bound by fate prepared for the challenges ahead. Their story was just beginning. A story of trust, courage, and the fight for a future where humans and aliens could stand united. The stars outside the ship twinkled softly as Commander Jace Rowan sat quietly in the dim light of the ship's control room. His mind was restless, filled with questions that had no easy answers. The events of the past days had changed everything he thought he knew about the galaxy and about himself. Beside him, Kira remained calm, her violet eyes watching the star maps flickering on the screen. She seemed lost in thought, as if searching for something just beyond reach. Jace finally broke the silence. "Kira, you said we fought together in a war before, long ago. How can that be?" "I don't remember anything like that." Kira looked at him, her gaze steady and patient. "Some memories are hidden, Commander, locked away deep inside, but they still echo through time." Jace frowned. "Echo through time? What do you mean?" Kira stood and moved to a small console, pressing a few buttons. A holographic image flickered to life, a scene from a long-ago battle. The image showed humans and aliens fighting side by side against shadowy creatures in strange armor. "This was the Great Divide," Kira said softly. "The war that changed everything. You were there, Jace. You led the charge that saved many worlds." Jace stared at the image, struggling to believe what he saw. His uniform, his face, his voice. He recognized it, but it was like looking at a stranger. "How is this possible?" Jace whispered. "Why don't I remember?" Kira moved closer. "Because the memories were sealed to protect you. To protect all of us." Jace's brow furrowed. "Protected from what?" "The enemy we fought then is not gone," Kira explained. "They hide, waiting for the right moment to return. The memories of the war hold the key to stopping them." Jace shook his head slowly. "So I'm supposed to find these memories and use them?" Kira nodded. "Yes, But you cannot do it alone. That is why I was given to you." Jace felt a strange mixture of emotions: confusion, fear, hope. The simple mission he had started with had turned into something much larger than himself. As they spoke, the ship's alert system beeped softly. A message from an unknown source appeared on the screen. Jace activated it cautiously. A distorted voice spoke. "Commander Rowan, the past is not as distant as you believe. Seek the Temple of Lights on the planet Viridia. There, the truth waits." Kira's eyes widened. Viridia. That planet holds the secrets of our ancestors. Jace's curiosity deepened. "Then that's where we go next." "Yes," Kira said firmly, "but it will not be easy. Viridia is guarded by those who want the past to remain hidden." Jace stood, determination rising in his chest. "Then we prepare, whatever it takes." Over the next hours, they planned their journey carefully. Kira shared knowledge about Viridia's terrain, its ancient temples, and the dangers that lurked. Jace studied the maps, thinking about the battles they might face. Before landing, Jace sat alone in the ship's small quarters, staring at a photograph he kept hidden, a picture of a family long gone, a life he barely remembered. The words Kira had said echoed in his mind. Could the lost memories be the key to saving many worlds? Could they bring hope to the galaxy? The ship began its descent into Viridia's atmosphere, the blue-green planet growing larger in the viewport. The air outside was thick with mist, and the surface below was covered in dense forests and ancient ruins. As the ship touched down, Jace and Kira prepared their gear. Kira's movements were precise, her eyes alert to every sound. "Are you ready?" Jace asked. Kira nodded. "The past waits. So do those who would keep it hidden." Together, they stepped off the ship and into the misty forest. The air smelled of earth and rain, alive with strange noises. The forest was thick, and the path to the Temple of Lights was hidden beneath vines and roots. Kira led the way, moving silently but with confidence. After hours of walking, they reached a clearing where ancient stones stood tall, carved with glowing symbols. The temple entrance was a great archway covered in moss. "This is it," Kira said softly. "The place where our ancestors kept their secrets." Jace studied the symbols. "Do you think the memories are stored here?" Kira nodded. "More than memories. Knowledge. Power. If we find it, we can stop the enemy before they rise again." As they stepped inside, the air grew cooler, the light dimmer. The temple was filled with strange machines and glowing panels, ancient but still alive with energy. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed through the hall. "Who comes seeking the past?" Jace and Kira looked at each other, then moved forward together. A figure appeared from the shadows, an old alien with wise eyes and robes that shimmered. "I am Eldarin, the keeper of the Temple of Lights. Why do you disturb this sacred place?" Jace stepped forward. "We seek the truth. We seek to protect the galaxy from an old enemy." Eldarin studied them carefully. "Many have tried and failed. The memories you seek are locked in the hearts of those who remember. To unlock them, you must face your own fears." Kira stepped beside Jace. "We are ready." Eldarin nodded. "Then follow me." They walked deeper into the temple, where walls showed images of battles, alliances, and betrayals. The stories of the Great Divide unfolded around them. At the center of the temple was a large crystal, glowing with pure light. "This crystal holds the memories you need," Eldarin said. "Touch it, and be prepared for what you may find." Jace looked at Kira. "Together." She nodded. Together. They placed their hands on the crystal. A rush of light and sound filled their minds. Visions of the past, faces of friends and enemies, moments of triumph and loss. Jace saw himself leading soldiers through fire, hearing the cries of battle, and the words of a promise made to protect all life. Kira saw her ancestors standing beside humans, fighting for peace and unity. When the visions faded, Jace gasped. "I remember. Pieces. Enough to understand." Eldarin smiled gently. The past is waking in you. Use it wisely. Jace looked at Kira. This changes everything. We have a chance to stop the enemy before they return. Kira's eyes shone with hope, and we will face it together. Outside, the temple doors opened to the glowing forest. The journey ahead would be difficult, but with the past now part of them, Jace and Kira were ready to fight for the future. The light of the ancient temple faded behind them as Commander Jace, Rowan, and Kira stepped back into the dense forest of Viridia. The memories from the crystal still swirled in their minds, vivid and powerful. Jace could feel something stirring deep inside him, an awakening of strength and purpose he had never known before. But there was no time to rest. The warning from the Galactic Council echoed in Jace's thoughts. The enemy they had once fought was not gone. It was coming back, and this time it was more dangerous than ever. As they made their way through the thick forest, the ship's comm system beeped urgently. Jace activated it. A serious voice came through the speaker. "Commander Rowan, this is Captain Lyra of the Galactic Defense Fleet. We have detected unusual activity near Viridia. Hostile ships are approaching fast." Jace glanced at Kira. Her eyes narrowed, filled with determination. "Prepare for immediate defense," Jace said, his voice steady. "We can't let them get what they're after." Kira moved quickly, assisting Jace in activating the ship's defense systems. They had only minutes before the enemy fleet would arrive. As the sun set behind the tall trees, casting long shadows across the forest, Jace and Kira boarded their ship. The engines hummed to life, ready to face whatever awaited them in the skies above Viridia. Outside, dark ships appeared on the radar, sleek, fast, and deadly. The enemy had arrived. Jace took the command chair, his hand steady on the controls. Kira worked the targeting systems, guiding their weapons with expert precision. The battle began with a flash of light and a roar of engines. Energy beams cut through space, and the ship shook under the impact of enemy fire. Jace's heart pounded as he shouted orders. Evasive maneuvers. Focus fire on the lead ships. Kira's voice was calm but fierce. Shields holding. Weapons ready. The enemy fighters attacked in waves, each more aggressive than the last. But Jace and Kira fought back harder, their teamwork perfect. She anticipated enemy moves before they happened, and he responded with quick decisions that kept them alive. Suddenly, the enemy unleashed a new weapon, a powerful pulse that disrupted their ship's systems. The lights flickered, and for a moment, the ship lost control. Jace gritted his teeth. Hold steady. Manual override. Kira's fingers flew over the controls, restoring power. We're back online. But they're adapting fast. Jace realized the enemy was learning from every move they made. This was no ordinary attack. It was a test, a way to weaken them before the real assault. "We need to strike back harder," Jace said. "Kira, can you activate the ancient weapon from the temple?" Kira nodded. "It's risky, but it could turn the tide." The ship's hidden weapon was a pulse cannon powered by the crystal's energy. If used correctly, it could disable multiple enemy ships at once. But if it failed, their ship might be destroyed. Jace took a deep breath. "Do it." Kira charged the weapon, the ship humming with energy. As the pulse cannon fired, a wave of bright lights spread across the enemy fleet. Several ships faltered and exploded. The enemy retreated, but Jace knew this was only a temporary victory. After the battle, the ship drifted quietly in space. Jace and Kira stood together on the observation deck, looking at the stars. "The threat is real," Jace said. "Stronger than we thought." Kira nodded. "And they will come again. We must be ready." Jace looked at her, feeling the new respect and trust. "We have the past on our side. Now we must find allies." Kira smiled faintly. "The old alliance must be rebuilt. Humans and my people together, as before." Jace felt hope grow inside him. The road ahead was dangerous, but they would face it together, no longer master and slave, but partners united by fate and purpose. The small cruiser floated silently among the stars as Commander Jace, Rowan, and Kira made their way to the next phase of their mission. The battle near Viridia had been a warning, and now it was clear. They could no longer act alone. Jace sat in the command chair, hands resting lightly on the controls. He looked over at Kira, who was examining a holographic map of nearby systems. Her eyes held a quiet strength he had come to respect deeply. "We need allies," Jace said finally. "Old friends, new friends. Anyone willing to stand against the enemy." Kira nodded. "The Galactic Council is divided. Many fear the return of the enemy and do not trust each other." Jace sighed. "Then we must build trust, starting with the Free Worlds Alliance." Kira looked surprised. The Free Worlds have always been cautious of outsiders. "They respect strength and honor," Jace replied. "If we show them we are united and prepared, they will listen." For days, they traveled from system to system, seeking meetings with leaders of the Free Worlds. The response was mixed. Some welcomed them, others doubted the threat was real. During one meeting on the planet Arction, a rugged world known for its warriors, Jace faced a council of stern leaders. They questioned his every word. "How do we know your enemy is not just a legend?" one leader asked. Jace met the leader's gaze. "Because we fought them before. Because this enemy destroyed alliances and nearly ended the galaxy's peace." Kira stepped forward. "I carry the memories of our past victories and losses. We have the knowledge to stop them." The council was silent for a long moment. Then a younger leader spoke. "If what you say is true, we must prepare, but we need proof." Jace smiled slightly. "We have that. Come with us to the ruins of Zilara. See the weapons, the technology, and hear our story." The leaders agreed, and the group set off for Zilara. As they traveled, Jace and Kira shared their visions and knowledge. Slowly, walls of doubt began to crumble. Back on Zilara, the ruins were a reminder of the old war, the sacrifices and battles that shaped their galaxy. Jace showed the council the hidden weapon systems Kira had activated before, the secret passages, and the records stored in the ancient temple. One leader whispered, "This is real. We cannot ignore it." With their support, Jace and Kira began training teams of warriors and technicians from the Free Worlds. Kira's knowledge of ancient tactics and Jace's experience in command made them a powerful team. But it was more than strategy and weapons that changed the teams. It was the bond forming between Jace and Kira. No longer was she a slave or prize. She was a partner, equal, and respected. Together, they inspired others to believe in unity, courage, and hope. During long nights aboard the ship, they talked about their pasts, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Kira shared stories of her people's traditions and their deep respect for life and honor. Jace told her about his childhood on Earth and the family he had lost. Their connection grew beyond words, built on trust and shared purpose. One evening, as the ship sailed through a field of glowing stars, Jace turned to Kira. "I never expected this journey to change me so much." Kira smiled softly. "Neither did I. But now, I believe in what we fight for." Jace nodded. "Together, we are stronger than any enemy." Kira's eyes shone with quiet determination. "And we will face whatever comes next, side by side." As their alliance grew, so did the enemy's threat. Reports came of more attacks on outposts and colonies. Time was running out. But Jace and Kira were ready. They had rebuilt a bond stronger than chains, one of respect, friendship, and hope. The future was uncertain, but with their united strength, they stood ready to defend the galaxy and protect the promise of peace. The dark shadows of space stretched endlessly before Commander Jace Rowan's ship as it moved steadily toward the enemy's fleet. The quiet hum of the engines was the only sound inside the control room. Jace sat focused at the command chair, his eyes scanning the star maps and tactical displays. Beside him, Kira adjusted the targeting controls with calm precision. Her violet eyes were sharp and steady, reflecting the weight of what lay ahead. They were about to face the greatest battle of their lives, a final stand to protect the galaxy from the shadow of an old enemy rising once again. For weeks, their alliance had prepared. Warriors from the free worlds and Zelleran people had joined forces, building a fleet stronger than any before. Jace had trained with them, sharing the ancient tactics he and Kira had uncovered. The memory of the Great Divide War guided their plans. But this battle was different. The enemy was smarter, faster, and more ruthless. They came not just to conquer, but to erase hope. The moment came when the enemy ships appeared on the horizon. A dark swarm of sleek fighters and massive warships blocking the stars themselves. "Shields up," Jace ordered, his voice steady. "Hold the line." The fleet moved forward, a shining force against the darkness. Energy weapons flared, and the first wave of enemy fighters charged. Jace's ship rocked as beams of light hit their shields, but their defenses held strong. Kira guided the targeting systems, calling out threats and weaknesses in the enemy formation. The battle raged fiercely. Ships exploded in brilliant bursts of light, the air tense with danger. Jace remembered the stories from the past, the courage of those who stood firm against impossible odds. He felt that same courage rising inside him now. "Kira, prepare the pulse cannon," he said. "We need to break their formation." Kira nodded, fingers flying over the controls. Charging now. The pulse cannon, powered by the ancient crystal energy, hummed to life. When it fired, a massive wave of energy surged outward, disabling a large group of enemy ships. The tide turned. But the enemy was relentless. A massive warship emerged from the fleet, directing a deadly beam toward Jace's ship. "Evasive maneuvers," Jace shouted. The ship twisted and turned, avoiding the beam's full power. Kira focused on the enemy's control signals. "If we can disrupt their command ship, we can break their coordination." Jace smiled grimly. "Then let's hit them hard." Together, they led a strike team of fighters straight for the enemy's warship. The battle inside the enemy fleet was fierce and chaotic. Jace's ship dodged blasts, weaving through enemy lines. Kira guided their weapons with expert precision, hitting weak points in the warship's hull. Finally, a powerful explosion rocked the enemy command ship. Its systems faltered, and the enemy fleet began to lose control. The remaining ships scattered, retreating into the darkness of space. The battle was won. Exhausted but victorious, Jace and Kira stood on the observation deck, watching the stars. "We did it," Jace said softly. "But this victory belongs to everyone who stood with us." Kira smiled. "Together, we are stronger." The past and the present joined as one. Jace looked at her with deep respect. "You were right, Kira. This is more than a battle. It is a new beginning." Kira nodded, a promise to protect and unite. As the fleet moved toward home, Jace and Kira knew their fight was not over. But the final stand had proven one thing. When humans and aliens stood together, hope was never lost. The stars glimmered softly outside the windows of the Galactic Council chamber as Commander Jace Rowan and Kira stood before the gathered leaders. The victory against the enemy fleet had changed everything. The air was filled with hope, but also with the weight of new responsibilities. Jace felt a calm strength inside him, something he had never felt before. It was the strength of unity, of trust earned through battle, and shared purpose. Kira stood beside him, no longer the reward or slave she had once been, but a proud ally and equal partner. Her violet eyes shone with determination, and her presence commanded respect. The council president, an elder human with kind eyes, spoke first. "Commander Rowan, Kira, your courage and leadership have saved countless lives. But more than that, you have shown us the power of unity between our peoples." Jace nodded. "We fought as one, humans, Zellerans, and the free worlds. Together, we faced a darkness that threatened all." Kira added softly, "This alliance is our future. It is the promise of peace and strength." The council members murmured in agreement. The old divisions were beginning to fade, replaced by a shared vision. After the meeting, Jace and Kira walked through the council halls. For the first time, they were seen not as master and slave, but as partners who had changed the fate of the galaxy. "Do you remember the first time we met?" Jace asked with a small smile. Kira laughed softly. "How could I forget? You were so surprised to receive me as a reward." Jace chuckled. "And you surprised me more than I ever expected." They paused by a large window, looking out at the stars, the endless possibilities before them. "We have much work ahead," Jace said, "rebuilding trust, sharing knowledge, and protecting our homes." Kira nodded. "But we will do it together, as equals." Days turned into weeks as the new alliance grew stronger. Humans and Zellerans worked side by side, sharing technology, culture, and stories. The free worlds joined willingly, inspired by the courage of Jace and Kira. Jace visited his old home planet, Earth, for the first time in years. He saw how much had changed, and how much work was still needed to bring peace to all corners of the galaxy. He sent messages to distant colonies, calling for unity and cooperation. Meanwhile, Kira helped lead efforts to heal the wounds left by war among her people. Her knowledge of the past guided new generations toward a future free of fear. Together, they became symbols of hope, proof that even in the darkest times, courage and friendship could light the way. One evening, as the twin suns set over Zolaris Plains, Jace and Kira stood side by side, watching the sky. "Do you think we will ever forget the past?" Jace asked quietly. Kira smiled. "No, but the past is not a chain. It is a lesson, a story that helps us grow." Jace nodded. "Then let us write a new chapter, one of peace, respect, and hope." As the stars began to shine brighter, they felt the promise of a new beginning, one where humans and aliens stood together, not as masters and slaves, but as friends and allies. Their journey had started with a surprising reward, but it ended with something far greater, the chance to change the galaxy forever.